Welcome on board, guys. My name is Gökhan Kösem, and in this Python lesson we will learn Python for loops. So why we use Python for loops? We use Python for loops to iterate over a sequence. This sequence can be a tuple, a list, a dictionary, or a set. So here I will give you memorable examples, and with these examples you will learn Python for loop better. So let's start to give examples here. And firstly, I will create a list 1, 2, 3, and now with a for loop for x in numbers. Here the keyword is for, and we are looking for any item x in this sequence. This is the usage for x in numbers. So there is also a colon at the end of this line, do not forget it. And then we are writing the body. We are writing what will we do for each of these items. So we will say that print this one. So here we'll print the square of each item in this list. So let's see the output, and as you can see, the square of 1 is 1, the square of 2 is 4, the square of 3 is 9. So this is basically how to use Python for loop. So let's do another example with Python for loops, and here let's write another thing here, another list, or let's write a tuple 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this is numbers 1, and this is numbers 2, and this will be a list. I will define it, and then in this example I will convert all the items in tuple to list items. So this we can do this with a list method basically, but here I will show you how to use for loop in Python. So here for x in numbers 1 again, and here we'll say that numbers 2 and append. We are using append method, and every time we will add the value of this tuple to this list. Here I will use numbers 1. So no, it's wrong. We will write x here, sorry, and then I write to print the numbers 2, numbers 2, and let's see what is the output of this command, this code. And as you can see, all the items in this tuple is added to the list, and this is another example that we can do with for loop. So here let's do another example, and in this example I will write all the letters in a keyword. So I will use Aragorn again here. So let's write for x in Aragorn, and this is a string, and we will print this string letters every time in each line. So here we'll write print x for every yes. Oh, sorry, there's a problem here. Okay, you forgot something. Let's do not do this. Yes, for x in Aragorn, print x. We are writing each letter to each line with this command. And yes, now let's do more complex calculations with for loop, and here let's find the even numbers in a list, in a given list, and print them, or print only the squares of these even numbers. And for this I'll define my number list again. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and 8, and then I'll say again for x in numbers. For every x in numbers list, if x, you can divide x by 2, and then we will print the square of x. So here we will determine the even numbers here, and we'll print the square of these even numbers. Sorry, sometimes I forget columns, but you don't forget. And yes, here 4, square of 2 is 4, the square of 4 is 16, 36 and 64 for 6 and 8. So this is another example that we can do with Python for loops. So to understand this method better, let's do another examples, and in these examples we will learn Python loops better, and you can also increase your examples by yourself. If you do more examples on Python for loops, then you understand this lesson better. So here let's do another example, and here I will create this. We don't need to create again, but I will create to show you the wall commands here. Number lists, I will create this one, and then I will create an even list, it is empty, and odd list, and it is also empty. And then I will create my for loop for x in numbers. We are checking that if we can divide x by 2, then we will add this to even lists. So we will use also append command here. So whenever we find an even number, we are adding this to even list. So after that you also use else, and then we will add this odd list. And after all these lines, we'll print the even numbers, and we'll also print the odd numbers here. So here let's write even numbers, even, and we'll print odd numbers and odd. Yes, let's see the output. Or I forget again, I always do this. Yes. Oh, that's also something wrong here. So let's print not in this for loop, but after this for loop. We need to print after for loop, because we in every step a even number here will add to the even list, and a not odd number is added to the odd list. And at the end of this for loop, then our new lists, our even and odd lists are ready. So we can print at the end of the code, because whenever we print inside this for loop, then it shows every step, so we don't need every step here. So here, as you can see, are even numbers and odd numbers are on the screen. So this example is important for us to understand for loop. You can do this in different ways, but I'm doing this with this way to show you how to use for loops in Python. And let's do another example to understand better. And here I will show you two statements, break statement and continue statements in for loops. They are important statements. So when you use break statement, then we end our for loop. But when we use continue statement, then this means that we only finish that step and continue with the other step. So let's do examples for this and understand better. Here I will create numbers again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As I mentioned before, in this screen we don't need to create every time, but I am writing this lists again and again to show you the whole command, whole code. For x in numbers, if x equal to 5, we are checking each items in the list with this for loop, and we are checking a condition here. If x equal to 5, if x comes to here, then we'll say that break. Now don't continue. And then after that we'll print x square of x. So let's run the code, and as you can see here, the code comes to here and writes the square of 1, then comes to here, writes the square of 2, 4, square of 3, and square of 4, and then it comes to 5. And when it comes to 5, it checks this, and in this if condition, x is equal to 5, then we break. And after that break, our code will not continue. So this is an example of how to use break in Python for loops. So let's do another example for this, and let me use this one again here. And again, for x in numbers, this time I will check the square of the numbers, and if this square is bigger than a value, then we'll break. So here I will say that if x multiply x is bigger than 40, then break. And here I'll print yes. Okay. And as you can see here, our for loops continue with start with 1, 1 and 2, square of 2 is 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, and lastly, when it comes to here, it calculates the square of x. It is 39. So 39 is bigger than 49, and 49 is bigger than 40. So we break the for loop in this code. So let's do examples with continue statements in for loops. And here, as I mentioned before, we use continue statements to jump over only one step or one more step, and after that the for loop continues. So here, let me write the code again, and again I will use this one. For x in numbers, here we'll check a condition. If x equal to 5, then continue. And then I'll check if x equal to 7, then continue. And after that, if there is no equal to 5 and 7, then print x multiply x, the square of x. So here, as you can see, the code comes to 1, write it, the square of 1, 1, square of 2, 4, square of 3, 9, square of 4, 16, and square. When it comes to here, it will say that if it's 5 equal to 5, yes, it is correct, then continue. So the code will not go after here, and it will come to for statement again, and it will go the next step. So the next step is 6. It will check here 6 is not equal to any of this, and then it will print the square of 6, and then it will come to here 7. It will check that this condition is not true, but this condition is true for 7, and it will continue and not go here. So it will go to other step. And for 8, it will check 2 statements here, and they are not true, and so it will write the square of 8 also here. And let's do one more example with continue. Here I will again get these 2 lines, and here I'll write only the odd number squares. So I'll check if x can be divided to 2, and if yes, I will say that continue, not write. And if it is not even, then I will say that print x multiply x. So we are printing the square of only odd numbers. Yes, here 1, square of 1, square of 3, square of 5, and 7 here. Yes, these are basically how to use break and continue statement in for loops. So let's also do some examples with nested for loops. So what is a nested for loop? If we use a for loop inside the for loop, this is called nested for loops. So let's do examples with for this, and I will create again a list, a numbers list. First, second, and third. And I write characters, and I'll say king, queen. We are going to get a little fantastic here, and princess. So I'll write the for loop here for x in numbers, and then I'll write for y in characters, and we'll print x and y here. We'll check this one, and for this one we will do all these examples, and for this one we will do again for this one, and for the last one we will write these ones also. So let's see the output, and as you can see, for first you write king, queen, princess. For second you write king, queen, princess, and third king, queen, princess. Yes, and let's do a last example with standard cards that are called 52 cards. As you know, there are 52 cards that we play some games with them, like poker, etc. And here I will write suites, clubs, diamonds, hearts, and spades. And lastly, I will write a second list here, and these are the ranks of these cards: as, jack, queen, and king. So here I will check with for loop for X in suites, and I will write the second for loop for Y in ranks, and then I'll print X and Y. So here, as you can see here, we write for clubs ace, jack, queen, king, for diamonds ace, jack, queen, king, and hearts and spades. Yes, in this lesson we have tried to learn how to use Python for loops, and with different examples I tried to explain Python for loops for you. And you can increase your examples, and with more examples you learn Python for loops better.